What's up, everybody? This is Whisky in the Six. I'm Rob. Officially reviewing this Springbank 25-year-old from 2020. So the last time you saw this bottle on my table, it was an uncorking. This is an official review. As you can see, I've shared this with some friends, but I've had some experience with this bottle as well. Got to know it a little bit. I wanted to give it the most fair mark possible. Before I get into all the details about this, there is one bottle that I know of available at Liquor Lodge in Alberta, liquorlodge.ca. My buddy Mark will help you out with that. They're expensive. They go for between $800 and $1,000, depending on where you are in the world, which is pretty expensive for a 25-year-old. But when compared to stuff like Macallan, which is $2,200, this is obviously a little bit more reasonable than that. Every year, Springbank changes the bottling, the casking for their 25-year-old. So in this case, it's 50% sherry, 50% ex-bourbon cask, and it's good stuff. 46% unchill filter, no added color, like they always do. There's a few guys in the chat. What's going on? How are you guys? Hope you're doing well. I'm going to nose this one, give it a mark. I'm going to taste it as well. But I want you to know that I don't mark according to price. So if I did, the mark would be drastically different than what it is going to be without taking that into consideration. I'll try to give you guys some perspective as to what I would mark it if I included price, but I don't always do that. In this case, I will, just because it's an expensive bottle. Quick hellos to Indy and Go Habs and DJ, Sipper Social Club. What's going on, guys? Hope you're doing well. Okay, so on the nose. Really nice nose. It's similar to the 2019, but there is some differences. This one, you can definitely get a little bit more of the sherry than I got last year. A little bit less of the Springbank funk than I got from last year's edition. So depending on the type of Springbank fan you are, or the type of whiskey fan you are, you might prefer 2019 to 2020. The bottle is nice and close to the camera. That's why it looks big. What's going on, Mark? What's going on, Go Habs? Hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, so really nice, sweet sherry notes like strawberries and raspberries, maybe a little bit of cherry in there, red fruit for sure. There might be like a subtle caramel note to this as well. A malty note for sure, and there's like a nice honey note. Pretty sweet on the nose, and it's opened up quite a bit from when I first got the bottle and first opened the bottle. Guinea Pig is in the house. What's going on, man? He's saying the Netherlands are present, sir. Yes, sir. Very nice. Nose is really nice, guys. It's sweet. It's very appealing. 46%, like I said. This has been opening up for a good 25, 30 minutes. Had a little dram of it last night to kind of make sure I knew exactly what I wanted to market. A lot of thought goes into these higher end bottles because I'm afraid to give people a recommendation on something that could be very expensive, could affect their whiskey allotted funds for the year. So I try to be as fair with the higher end, maybe a little bit harsh on the higher end whiskeys than I should. But this does have a beautiful nose. On the palate, nice sweetness up front. Springbank funk mid palate. Nice light peat. Very light peat, but still there. Like I said, this one costs about 800 Canadian on average, maybe a little bit higher than that, maybe about 850 depending on where you are. If this was in Ontario, you're probably looking at something like $1,100 Canadian. It's not in Ontario for probably that reason, probably because Springbank didn't want to price their bottle that high. But in Alberta, you can pick this up for about $800. And like I said, my buddy Mark LeBlanc from Liquor Lodge has one bottle sitting on his shelf that one of you lucky buyers could grab if you wanted it. Yeah, the palate's really nice here. When compared to more robust whiskeys, cask strength whiskeys, that type of thing, it's really hard to get the subtle nuances that you would get out of this. But that being said, it's still really, really nice. Okay. So I have some of my little monsters in the background, and they might appear, but hopefully they stay off camera. Okay. Again, another sip. Yeah, really nice sherry notes here. You do get a little bit of that ex-bourbon cask as well. The influence of those like vanillas and brown sugars, it does exist in this whiskey. I'm not sure which one I like better, this year's or last year's. I'm kind of leaning toward last year's just because I think it had a little bit more of that Springbank funk. This one's a little sweeter. This is probably more geared toward the regular whiskey drinker as opposed to the Springbank fan. All right, so really nice stuff, really smooth, very elegant, a lot of stuff going on. So this, if you're just joining us, this is the 2020 Springbank 25-year-old. It's 50% sherry, 50% ex-bourbon cask, and it's 46%. All right. Super easy drinking. I would still put the Springbank 21-year-old from 2019 ahead of this, but this is really nice. I think there is definitely a market for this whiskey, and I think a lot of people are going to love this whiskey. I'm going to give this whiskey a 90. All right. Now, that 90 comes with a disclaimer. It's a 90, not including the mark. So, I mean, not including the price. If I included the price, it would be less because you can get whiskey of this quality for less money. That's not always the case with Springbank, but in this case, it is. Probably last year's as well. The 2019, I think I was a little bit overhyped on that 2019, and I gave it a higher mark than it probably deserved. I would say that these guys are on par. So I would correct the mark from last year to around the 90. And I would still put the Springbank 21 ahead of both of them. That's just my opinion. It's great whiskey. Like I said, it's about $800. Is it $800 good? It depends on your financial situation. I don't know. I don't know if it's $800 good. For me, I would rather spend $200 on a whiskey that is almost as good as this than getting this for $800. But that's my personal opinion, and I have to be honest. I don't want you guys going out there and spending $800 and then hating me for that reason. So it's a 90, but it comes with a disclaimer. Would I buy it again? Probably not. Okay. I split this bottle with my buddy Jasper, and it was pricey, but it's a little bit less pricey when you split it with some friends. So I highly recommend, if you can get a group together, 3-4 guys, that's the ideal, and you split a bottle. 4 guys is probably the best way to go because you split it 4 ways. Everything ends up being a little bit less. Obviously, you're not going to get a ton of the whiskey, but you get enough of the whiskey to get a good understanding of that whiskey. So, all right, like I said, that's a 90. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit over here. Lewis, what's going on, buddy? Nice to see you. Sachin, what's going on? He said Ralphie would never pay that much. Yeah, probably not. Ontario teacher's good. I don't know, Go Habs. I'm not sure what classifies as Ontario teacher's good. Let's see who else is in the chat over here. P-Boss in the house. What's going on, brother? Mike Snook in the house. How are you? Whiskey Pilgrim in the house. So about 22 of you guys in the chat. I didn't expect to have a big crowd. I just wanted to get this video out there because I do plan on doing a recorded video for Monday and then hopefully a live with Jeremy. We do plan on doing our podcast soon, and we're hoping to start that next week. But if we can't start that next week, the following week, we're just going to be recording outside for the time being to fit the COVID rules. And then from there, we will move to obviously my house or his house for our regular episodes. That'll be starting soon. We're thinking of a name. We're not 100% sure yet, so I'm not going to share anything just yet, but you will find out through my YouTube channel, through Jeremy's YouTube channel. So we'll keep you posted. Is it too early for everybody else to have a drink? I'm assuming in the Netherlands it's not. Someone said earlier that their guinea pig earlier said he was from the Netherlands. Good stuff. Honestly, like I was saying earlier, does the whiskey justify the price? Probably not. But it's really good stuff. I'm pretty sure if you poured this for anybody, they'd be really excited about it. They think it was very good stuff. I think the only thing that would deter them is hearing the price, all right? But other than that, it's excellent stuff. I want to talk to you guys really quickly about another whiskey I have over here. I'm just going to take a quick sip of water. It's a younger whiskey, but the type of whiskey it is, it doesn't really matter how young it is. It's a 100% rye at cask strength, which is close to 65%. This is from Last Straw. So what Don from Last Straw plans to do, so if you guys haven't heard of Last Straw, it's a distillery in the Vaughan area. What Don's planning to do with his next rye release, because he's already released one, is he's going to bottle some of it at cask strength and then the rest of it at 43%. I believe it's going to be somewhere between 28 and 50 bottles of cask strength whiskey. This is at cask strength. This is the exact same rye. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about it and why you should check them out. And then hopefully maybe you can get a bottle of the cask strength because it really smells very nice and tastes very nice as well. I've already had a chance to try it. Yeah, this rye is really nice. Really interesting notes on the nose. Lots of caramel. Color is pretty nice too. This is just over 3 years old or 3 years old, something like that. And the color is quite nice. It's either a recharred barrel or heavily charred virgin, but I'm pretty sure it's a recharred. It's a recharred barrel. Really nice. Beautiful nose. Tons of caramel, not a ton of rye spice. Again, on the palate, if you tried anything from Last Straw, this definitely has that Last Straw characteristic to it. Lots of caramel, some like nice apricot puree kind of thing going on there as well. Really nice at cask strength. Honestly, I really like this. You do not have to add water to this. I was kind of comparing it with my own study of other Canadian cask strength ryes, and I think it does very well. I like it a lot better than the still waters, which is I forget the name of their bottlings, but I like it better than their cask strength rye for sure. But you guys got to check this one out. Really, really nice stuff. Go to laststraw.ca, I believe, or .com. I can't remember exactly, but Google them. You'll find them. They're in Vaughan, Ontario. Really nice stuff. And they are selling hand sanitizer as well if you guys are interested in that sort of thing. All right. NDYC. So he's saying, nice to see you with the Springbank 25 again. So the first time you saw this one, well, the 2020 anyway, was an uncorking. It was the first time I experienced it. I don't like to give things a mark the first night because it can go up or down depending on what happens to that whiskey with some air. This is a 90 for me. Good stuff, very good stuff. Obviously, to get a 90, it has to be very good, but price not included in that mark. All right. Not going to stay too much longer. I'm wondering actually if anybody has anything to drink right now. If you do, why don't you share it in the chat? It's 9 p.m. in Sweden, says Whiskey Pilgrim. That's awesome. That's perfect drinking time, nightcap time almost. It's an interesting conversation going on in the chat. Jeremy's saying that he's not the biggest Hazelburn fan. I might have a different opinion. I'm not sure which Hazelburn they're referring to, though. Okay, here we go. Okay, so India is saying, I was trying to trade the Glendronach 18 plus $100 for the Longrow 13 Cab Sav and the Hazelburn 14 rum. That would probably be pretty hard depending on which Glendronach 18 that is, just because I believe the Longrow goes for about the same money, just a little bit less than the Glendronach 18, and then the Hazelburn 14 rum is in the 130 to 150 range. So that'll be a tough one, I think. Oh yeah, and Mark LeBlanc is saying that to send him your email address, he has a Hazelburn 14 rum that he might be able to hook you up with. We got the Pete Lova in the chat. Yeah, Springbank 25. Good stuff. I gave it a 90 if you're just tuning in. Really good stuff. But for $800, you got to definitely have the funds to throw around for this to be worth your while. Otherwise, I mean, if you like something very sweet, light, a little bit of peat, this is probably the perfect dram for you. So maybe for some people, this is like a 95. I could see that definitely happening. I know that on Whiskey Base, it's scored very, very well. But for me, I would love to know what this tastes like at cask strength, personally. I think at cask strength, I would have no qualms about paying that price again. But at 46%, maybe I need to reset my palate. I'm not sure. Maybe 46% is too light for me these days. I think I need to start ignoring cask strength for a little while for me to truly get the proper nuances in a 46% whiskey. Don't see that here in prison. Yeah, it's probably hard to find whiskey in prison for sure. Whiskey Pilgrim saying, have you tried the Springbank 8-year from the Campbelltown Whiskey Festival 2019? I have not. I haven't tried any Springbank 8-year-old, but I would love to try some of the single cask fresh sherries because I've only ever had refill single cask. I'm looking at finding some of the fresh sherry. Pilo, you kill me, man. So there's some dealing going on in the chat. It's very nice. I like to see the economy being stimulated. Sheng is saying, have you tried the Glengoyne Legacy Chapter 1? Just found the bottle last week, and it's great, especially for the price. I've actually been meaning to buy a bottle of that. I haven't tried it yet. I do mean to get a bottle. We'll see what happens. I would like to try it. Jeremy's saying some awesome hazel burns out there, but the rum was just okay, in my opinion. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good. I think it was a little bit better than the Springbank 15 rum, but not much better. I don't know. I don't know what rum casks they're using, but I don't think they're very robust type rum because you don't get a ton of rum out of the Hazelburn or the Springbank rum casks, in my opinion. But if you're not necessarily looking for that and you're just looking for a good whiskey, then I think it hits that for sure. All right, guys, I'm gonna call this one. I wasn't planning on staying on too long. If you stayed this long or if you just tuned in, I gave this one a 90. Very good stuff. There is a bottle available at Liquor Lodge in Alberta for retail price. A lot of these get flipped on secondary and they're highly collectible because there's only 1,200 bottles. So if that's something you're interested in, hit up liquorlodge.ca. Talk to Mark. He's in the chat if you haven't talked to him already. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys are all doing well, staying healthy. You guys can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you can support this channel on Patreon. Cheers.